Thinking about competing in your first powerlifting competition? Watch this.
Our first caller is Zach from Arkansas.
Zach, what's happening, man? How can we help you?
Hey, thank you guys. Yeah, just like everyone says, I just want to thank you guys for all the content. I really do appreciate it. My friend Dave actually put me on a couple months ago to you guys. Thank you guys. Yeah, so Dave. For reference, I am 5'8" and about 165. And I'm currently going through MAPS Powerlift. I decided I want to use my weightlifting for something instead of just going to the gym. I want to start competing. So I'm actually going to start competing in January of next year. So I just had a couple questions kind of relating to powerlifting and the program.
Okay.
So
cool.
First, I want to ask, is it okay to kind of throw in like an extra day to the program? Like, I know it starts off 4 days a week. Is it okay to throw in like a full body, like on a Saturday or a extra day in there?
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Well, look, yeah, of course it's okay. You can do whatever you want, but I think your question is, will it help you, right? Or is it gonna be better for your results? I got to ask you why. Why do you want to add an extra day?
I know a lot of callers call in and say they have that athletic mindset, and I do come from an athletic background, so I was going about 6 days a week, and it's just kind of hard to limit myself.
Okay.
That's why.
So are you looking, is this more for like the mental aspects, or are you trying to get better at powerlifting?
Both. I would say more mental, but both.
So then I would go to the gym. I just wouldn't do the program.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
Yeah, I would go to the gym, maybe do some core work, maybe some mobility stuff.
Yeah, accessory stuff.
Stretching, like just like recuperative kind of stuff. So you get that mental part. Simultaneously, you're not negatively affecting your potential strength gains with powerlifting. Powerlift was written with Ben Pollock, who's obviously a high-level powerlifter. It's great programming, and you got to trust the programming. The answer is almost never to do more when you're following, something like that.
Especially when it's your first time kind of taking a stab at this, I think. And that was the focus of this program, was really to take your entry-level person who's never done it before and kind of build them up to the point where they can compete at their best. So
I also think it really matters even more so for powerlifting than it does for a general program, because you're working with percentages and you're trying to scale up in the entire program, and you overreaching even the slightest bit will set you back in a week, which will hinder your progress, which is more detrimental in the game of increasing weight on the bar, more so than the average person who's just trying to be fit. Like if you were just following the program and you want to be strong, you want to look good, and doing an extra day, maybe you overtrain a tiny bit, not a big deal. But when you're trying to compete in powerlift, like seeing incremental
stress management is everything.
Yeah, very much so. It's like an athlete. It's like when you get into playing sports at the professional level, it becomes stress management more than it becomes trying to get better at that sport. Like you are in season, like an in-season type of an athlete. So overreaching can be very detrimental to you putting extra weight on the bar, which is the ultimate goal for powerlifting.
Yeah, here, I tell you what, this will benefit both. Go to the gym. And do you have MAPS Prime Pro?
Do not.
Okay. I'll send that to you, Zach. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to work on mobility movements on that extra day that will improve your skill, technique, and connection to the deadlift, squat, and the bench press.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're going to be doing something. It's structured, so you're not going to go in there and guess. Because I don't want you to go to the gym. I don't want to tell you, hey, go to the gym and just try to go easy, because I know what's going to happen is you're going to do more than you probably should. So MAPS Prime Pro's got mobility movements for the shoulders, the hips, the ankles. I think all of those are going to
I think if it's just those three, if you want to be simple,
100%.
You just focus on those joints specifically, will really help to enhance everything you're doing.
Yeah, like 1 or 2 movements for each of those areas. Practice them on that extra day you go in the gym, and they'll simultaneously improve your skill and technique with those 3 lifts, which is going to make you stronger at those 3 lifts. So if you have better control and mobility from a control standpoint, you're going to be stronger in those lifts. So that'll hit both of them, and it's some structure. So I'll send that over to you.
Your next question was related to sticking in powerlift all the way till April when you have a meet potentially, and I would say yes, because it's like treating you training for a sport. If it were your general population, I would say rotate to another program. But if you're trying to compete potentially in April, I'd say run it and then run it back again. That would be my advice.
Yeah, and I would. The only thing I would change is maybe adding a week in between that's a deload. So run power lift. Then a week after that, you're doing like 30% your normal weight. You're just kind of going to the gym, just kind of, it's like a total deload week, and then start the program again. Studies show that deload week after training mesocycles improves strength and muscle gains. It's better than not doing that break for most people.
Awesome. I do kind of have like a two-parter question. So I struggle with my caffeine intake. I would say I definitely consume way more than I should in a day, and I find it very difficult to kind of cut back. So that's kind of the first question I had is what's the best way to attack like limiting myself in caffeine and maybe eventually eliminating it completely?
Yeah, good. Very good question. Caffeine is no joke. That is a very addictive substance. The side effects of going off cold turkey suck. A lot of people get migraines or they're exhausted or they get depressed. And such it's a shitty drug to come off of. So here's a strategy that I used on myself and I've used with clients, and it seems to be the best to mitigate those kind of side effects of coming off. Take your total dose of caffeine. So I don't know whatever your dose is. Let's say it's 400 milligrams a day or 300 milligrams a day. Cut it down by a quarter. So do 25% less. Do that for about 3 or 4 days, and then cut it by a quarter again, and then a quarter again. So after about, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, you'll be down to almost no caffeine or zero caffeine. Now, when you get to zero caffeine, you could take something like rhodiola during that week or two, or I would recommend 3 or 4 weeks off caffeine and take rhodiola instead. And then you can go back on caffeine and start at a low dose because you'll be resensitized.
What about this, Sal? I mean, this is
how much are you taking right now, just to give us some clarity here?
I would say 400 to 500.
Yeah, so I would go down from 400 to 300.
You're not too bad, bro.
And then go down to 200 and then down to 100. So you've got yourself like 4 weeks right there where you could bring it down.
I would actually. So, I mean, what is that? Basically two energy drinks or 2 to 3 energy drinks a day? Are you doing like a pre-workout?
Like a 200 each drink?
Two coffees? Is that what?
Brought a coffee in the morning, and then an energy drink, and sometimes a pre-workout.
Okay. So the way I would do it is I would actually cut one. I'd cut one at a time out for like Sal's time period, like he said. But I would replace it with red juice. That's
got the rhodiola in it.
I had so much success with that. That made a big difference for me. And so then it would look like this. So you normally do 3. I pull one of those off and I replace it with red juice. Then I pull 2 off, actually replace it with 2 red juices, and then eventually 3. And that would it made me still feel like I was still getting my kind of caffeine, even though I wasn't. It still gave me like this kind of natural energy without the crazy stimulant feeling that you get from.
Yeah, for people who are like, what's red juice? It's Organifi red juice.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. That was, and I've done this multiple times, and when I've done it without it, I have less success as when I use the red juice.
Yeah, so it's got rhodiola in it, and it's got some other stuff that helps kind of mitigate that crappy feeling of coming off.
Definitely worth it.
Okay. Yeah, and my last question was just kind of the diet aspect of powerlift. I know it doesn't come with a particular diet. Is it just you think I should just be heavy protein intake, maybe up my carbs?
You're going to be in a weight class?
Slight surplus.
I'm shooting for 165.
So your current body weight?
Yeah, I think I'm like 168 right now, something like that.
Oh, so you want to drop weight and compete?
Just a little though, right?
Yeah, so you're going to have
just a little bit.
High protein, moderate carb, moderate fat, and eat at maintenance calories.
Yeah, stay fed. That my advice would be make sure you hit your protein intake first and foremost every day, and then stay fed.
Now I'll say this right now, and this is the advice I've given wrestlers and other athletes that compete in weight classes. When you're on that border, and you're thinking, should I lose weight to go in a lighter category or build strength and be in this heavier category? The answer I typically give people, and it depends on the person's experience and all that stuff, but you're new to powerlifting. It's a new thing for you. I'd say don't worry about the weight class and go in the higher weight class. It's gonna be hard to gain the strength that you want and all that stuff while simultaneously trying to manage your body weight down to 165, at least for your first contest or two. And then from there, you could kind of play with it a little bit. But I've seen people
didn't I hear he's like 3 pounds off though, right?
He is. So he's going to have to drop 3 while simultaneously try to gain like huge strength gains in MAPS powerlift. Like that's You know, I mean, I guess you could do it, but it's your first competition.
I mean, I guess, okay, so I think the advice that you're giving, and I think is right, is don't worry about weight so much.
There you go.
Like, just try and get strong from now till April. And then when you get maybe like a month.
Figure out which weight class
Yeah,
makes
when you
sense
get
at that
about a
point.
month out, then we could assess, and, you know, reach back out to us. If you get about a month out from your show, we can talk about where your weight is at. Like, do I think it's a good strategy for you to drop 12 pounds in your final week of powerlifting to go to a meet?
Yeah, because you know what happens
I'd
is,
say no. But if you were only got to, if you got to drop 2 or 3 headed, because what could possibly happen if you eat good and balanced, you might build a little muscle, you might lean out a little bit during the process. That would be the
yeah,
most
but because this is his first contest. So here's what'll happen: you'll look at the weight classes and be like, how much do people, I don't know, deadlift at the, let's say 185 or whatever weight class versus 195, and the difference may be 25 pounds or 20 pounds. Let's just say, okay, I'm going to making up numbers here. I know for me that I'll be stronger and more competitive at the higher body weight, even though it's a higher deadlift, for example. I know at the higher body weight, I'm going to be more competitive than I will trying to make the lower body weight. This is something you're going to have to figure out, but I don't think it's something you can figure out right now. It's your first contest. So I would say go into it, and whatever weight class you fall in, well, that's the one that you do.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
I think that, especially this is your first one. There's so much you're going to get better at, and you're going to learn. It's like the last thing you need to be is stressing a cut.
Totally.
Heading into that.
That's like so much to juggle.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. All right, Zach, we'll send you Maps Prime Pro, okay?
All right. Thank you, guys.
You got it, man. Get back to work.
Yeah. Make those calls.
Appreciate it.
No problem. You know, that the whole weight class conundrum is so, you want to talk about like a whole nother level
Yeah.
of like,
That was good advice.
Programming
That was
and
good
shit
advice.
like that.
I heard 3 pounds, and I'm like, that's nothing. I mean, that could be just a little bit of water right before he goes. But you're right. After he's been training from now till April, he could potentially
You could put some weight on.
Yeah,
maybe.
he could potentially put 10 pounds on. And the last thing you want to do is like the final week you're going in and like you try and do a hard cut to get in, and then you lose all your fucking strength.
Plus-
that you built.
plus-
Your numbers go down. It's like, oh shit.
yeah, plus you guys know this because you guys are really experienced and he's not, right? So he's new. But when you get more experienced, I know what body weight the strength gains start to like not make sense. Like, okay, if I go from 210 to 230, I may add, 8 pounds to my, deadlift. Who cares, right?
Well, you also
there's like that cutoff.
You
right?
also know that there's such a massive individual variance in some guys. Just like fighters, like some fighters fight at like the weight that they walk around at really good. Some guys can drop 30 pounds and be just a beast in that class, and some do
Just
better.
dominate.
So I think that's similar, right? Where he's got to get a couple of these under his belt to kind of find, where am I strongest at when I'm at, and then you try and be like more strategic about weight.
Yeah, I used to train this wrestler, and he was always trying to make weight, and I convinced him once, just go in heavy, go in the higher, see what your coach says or whatever. Coach agreed to it, and he's like, bro, he goes, I was so much stronger and so much faster. He goes, it was so different. I was so much better. So I'm like, I mean, we put so much emphasis on this weight thing because we look at these top level athletes who figured it out.
Yeah.
When you're not like that level where you really know, like, trying to cut weight, like you oftentimes just show up depleted and weak and not feeling good.
I mean, we didn't have any weight cuts or anything, but we were always like told to gain weight,
Opposite.
And so it was like, for me, I ended up putting on about 20 pounds over the summer, and then coming back, like I was so
Slow.
unathletic and sluggish, and I hated it. And so the next season I cut back and I was so much better
Exactly.
of a player. You just have to figure it out.